You at work, boo? Like, I don't work weekends. I really do think that some people were better off having encountered me in my whole fullness. Wait, did the man have the puppies or did I have a puppy? And I was just like, overstimulation. It just threw me off. And I was like, is this what I'm going to have to experience every time I go shopping? Those are some of the reasons why I wanted to go into pathology. And let me tell you something, I'm never looking back. This girl is supposed to be studying right now. Good morning, everyone. I am once again almost running late. I'm getting ready to go to church. I'm trying a new church out today, actually, which I'm really looking forward to. I told myself I was going to try as much as possible to prioritize going to church. Actually, I'm going to use this opportunity to answer one of the questions that I get the most as a pathology resident, and that is, why on earth did you go into pathology? It's like people cannot fathom that an individual would willingly choose to become a pathologist, which I find that most of those individuals who feel that way have very minimal exposure to the actual life of a pathologist. It's really unfortunate how lacking the pathology curriculum is. At least I can speak for what I know of the traditional American medical school curriculum. Pathology is such an interesting specialty. I never wanted to do pathology at first. I was adamantly against pathology. But it wasn't until I actually rotated in pathology that I realized that it actually fit me to a T, in ways that I didn't even think to consider when it came to choosing a specialty. Now, to answer the question of why I chose pathology, number one, because of what I just said, it fits me as an individual. Um, I prefer to work in small teams. And I do enjoy collaborating with others, but that needs to be a small portion of my daily responsibilities. I love that that is the nature of pathology for the most part. You pretty much work with your team, and then, if a clinician or a surgeon or whomever else needs information from us, then we provide that. So that works for me, honey. The next thing is, I consider myself to be a creative as well. And I love I love to look at visually stimulating imagery. Hold that thought. Okay, where was I? I enjoy beautiful visual imagery. I love that when I'm looking at slides, that is pretty much incorporated into my job. Another aspect of that is you get to see the body in its purest form as a pathologist. Like, I'm looking at your cells, bro. Like, I'm looking at the some of the smallest functioning parts of the body. And it's just so beautiful to look at. It's a reminder that, God really did love us. Like, He created our bodies perfectly, when everything is where it needs to be and doing what it needs to do. It just looks so stunning. And I'm very grateful to be able to have a job that enables me to witness that on a regular basis. It honestly gives me a greater appreciation for my body and for humankind, really, to have access to such an intimate part of my patients and, do the best that I can to figure out what's going on with them in a way that no one else can do. I think a lot of people don't gravitate towards pathology because they feel like they're going to lose their connection with their patients. But I would argue that we have a different kind of connection with our patients that nobody else has because of the nature of what we do. And sidebar, there are actually plenty of pathologists who regularly have direct patient care, but a lot of people don't know that because they don't know much about pathology. Not only is it not always taught, a lot of people don't necessarily go out of their way to find this information out. So, yeah, like when I'm talking to medical students and even other residents, when I tell them that with apheresis, we see patients directly, people are just like, oh my goodness, I had no idea. Yeah, I know you had no idea because you didn't bother to find out. That's the importance, honestly, of not knocking things before you try it. Like, again, like I was a victim of knocking things before I tried it. I nearly missed my opportunity to go into pathology, but God had other plans. You would be surprised to know attendings from other specialties have either inquired about pathology or have actually rotated through my department because once they realized that, first of all, how dope pathology is, they realized how much flexibility they would have. They realized that it's way more vast than they had ever imagined. Like, there are so many different things you can do in pathology. Your lifestyle can look exactly the way you want it to look within pathology. So I'm telling you, exposure is everything. Like, if you're a medical student or you're considering going into medicine right now and you're like, I don't really want to go into pathology, I get it. Believe me, I get it. Hopefully you're at a good an institution with a really strong, good, thorough department. But take some time to actually rotate before you completely write pathology off, just so that if you finally, like, if you end up ultimately deciding that you really don't want to go into pathology, at least you did your due diligence. So you're not like one of these attendings who come through and are like, well, I kind of wish that I had taken pathology more seriously in the beginning and blah, blah, blah. Spending all this time going down a path that may not have actually been most meaningful to you. I mean, I do believe that everything happens for a reason. And if you are on a certain pathway, then you are exactly where you need to be. But just look into it before you completely write it off. I really could go on and on about why I love my job. I've only given a couple of reasons. I may do another video. At some point, I'm going to do more videos about pathology. I mean, that's partly what this channel is for. But yeah, and those are some of the reasons why I wanted to go into pathology. And let me tell you something, I'm never looking back. I'm so glad that I went for it. And the other thing that I will say, like to my med students or anyone else who's thinking about going into medicine, please don't believe that you have to be a certain way or change who you are just to fit into the mold of what people expect a physician to be or do. Another reason why I chose to make this channel, and even just, establish a presence on social media as a pathologist, is because authenticity is extremely important to me. And I do feel like I've come across a lot of individuals who feel like they either have to go into a certain subspecialty because they exhibit certain characteristics um, that fit with the stereotypes associated with those subspecialties, or once they choose that subspecialty, they feel like they have to change themselves to fit that mold. You can come into a space, you can come into a subspecialty, you can come into a field just as you are, and people are just going to have to learn how to deal with that. The more you show up as yourself, the more people will get used to having people like you around. You get what I'm saying? Like, I used to participate heavily in recruitment for my department, when we were getting new residency applicants in. And I remember one thing that stood out. There was a student who asked, do you feel like you're able to be yourself in the program in terms of who you are and how you present yourself, etc.? That was an extremely meaningful question for me. I built up the confidence that I have now as an individual. But that being said, even when I was in medical school and like trying to figure out how to show up as a healthcare provider, some of those thoughts about having to be a certain way or having to conform or whatever did cross my mind. Now, gratefully, I didn't succumb to that, but I thought about it. I continued to be who I was and didn't change just for the sake of a role, because I really do think that some people were better off having encountered me in my whole fullness. I'm better off having encountered other people in their most authentic forms. So just be yourselves. That's all I'm trying to say. Just be yourselves. I am still on time and I don't want to ruin that. So let me get myself up and get going to church. Yeah, let's actually get into this vlog now. Guess who's early, y'all? Guess who's early? Guess who's early? Guess who's early? Hey, 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 hey. Don't talk about me. I'm in the middle of twisting my hair. When I first started medical school, I was gung-ho surgery. I was like, yeah, it's trauma or bust. And I loved trauma surgery. But yeah, after I got through that general surgery rotation, that was honestly one of the hardest things I have ever had to do. Definitely, hands down. Them early mornings, child. The struggles with trying to maintain organization so that I could make sure that I rounded on my patients and I knew who was doing what and what was happening and all this stuff. When I say, yo, shout out to everybody who had to deal with me when I was on my surgery rotation. I pretty much nixed everything else. I think one of the things that I tell medical students these days is really consider who you are as a person when you're trying to pick a subspecialty. It is so important. It's not enough to just like what you do, or it's not enough to just feel like, oh, you're going to get whatever accolades, or number one, you're doing it for your patients, hopefully. Number two, you're doing something that would make you feel fulfilled. And it's very difficult to be fulfilled, in my opinion, when what you're doing does not align with who you are as an individual. I still, to this day, love trauma surgery. Like, ooh, there's something about it. It just gives me the thrills. But that lifestyle, nah, that ain't it for me. Like, this is gonna be a mini story time. I didn't know that much about pathology. All I knew was there was seemingly nothing cool about it. Like, the thought of sitting at a microscope all day was not appealing to me at all. And that just goes to show how little we know about pathology, and how little we're taught about the practical aspects of pathology and what it's like to actually be a pathologist. It just didn't appeal to me at all. And so I was like, I literally uttered the words. It's so funny how God will laugh in your face. I literally said, I will never do pathology. I said that. I remember saying it. And I remember saying to someone, I said something to the effect of, if there are 13 specialties, pathology is number 13 for me. Oh my goodness. I said that. I'm not ashamed, because that's how I felt. I had no intention of going into pathology whatsoever. I also remember taking a little quiz online. You would enter in your characteristics or whatever, and it would say, okay, this is the subspecialty or the specialty that aligns with what you've entered. I want to say that pathology came up as number one. And I think pathology was number one and surgery was number two, or vice versa. I was so pissed. I was like, how dare you? But yo, it's so funny how things play out. I'm telling you, like, if you had asked me those many years ago when I was in med school, would I believe that I would be a pathologist right now? I would never, ever have believed you. And at the same time, I'm so grateful that I wound up going down this path, hands down. Like, if I had to do it all again, I would absolutely select pathology. Wow. Yeah, moral of the story is definitely think about who you are as an individual. Think about what your desires in life are, what makes you happy, what situations make you happy, how you want to show up for your patients. I should be studying right now, so I'm gonna get off this recording. I definitely caught myself getting ready to go to work and completely forgot that my hair looks like this. But you know what? I really don't have time to do anything about it. So I am going to just separate these out a little bit, try to twist them up because I don't want them to get tangled. I'm going to work and there's nothing you can do about it. If you want to continue living this life that you live, you're going to have to start giving me them puppy dog eyes. Okay? All right. She be trying to guilt trip me. So about this whole like vlogging thing, like this is not my first time having a YouTube channel. Fun facts. Why not just record the stuff that I'm already doing? I say, you know what? I'm gonna start vlogging. It's literally gonna be me, you, and my personality on this channel. Subscribe, why don't you? Child, with this inflation and this little bitty resident salary. Now, don't get me wrong, like I definitely am grateful to God that I even get what I get. But as a whole medical doctor, that should come with much more than what it comes with. People really don't understand. Like, they just don't understand. Once they hear that you are a physician, they automatically assume that you're making all this money. But the reality is, as a resident, you don't get that much. We definitely don't get what y'all be thinking we get. I'll tell you that right now. My first year residency was a struggle. Girl, I don't even know how I made it. It was God and God alone. Yeah, it was hard. It was hard. But you know, we made it through, girl. By the hairs on our chinny chin chin. Even as a physician, you would do well, especially if you come from humble beginnings, you would do well to try to figure out some other kind of stream of income. The average American will need to have multiple streams of income to freaking just be comfortable, let alone build wealth. So yeah, girl. I'm out here in these little YouTube streets, and we're gonna see what it do. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Anyway, I'm wasting time. Let me get on the road and I will check in with y'all later. I'm saying y'all. I'm speaking these subscribers into existence. Okay? So I see y'all later. She won. I'm late. I'm late. I'm late. I'm late. I'm late. Living in the South has made me a nicer person. I was born and raised in DC. We not mean, but like, we don't always go out of our way to be kind to people we don't know. I mean, and obviously this is not everyone, but that's been my experience. Yeah, the way I knew I figured out that I was the problem was when my mother moved to suburbia. People would be going for walks and all of that in the neighborhood. And when I would drive past them, they would wave at me. And I would be like, I would be like, okay, you ain't got to be waving at what was wrong with me? I used to be like you don't gotta be waving at nobody like that. Like, just going about your business. Let me mind mine. But I realized that I was the problem. Back then, especially, I really don't feel like talking to people when I'm just out and about, or if I'm in deep thought or something like that. But there is nothing wrong with saying hello to somebody. Now things have changed. I'm not like that anymore. I'm more open to people speaking and, taking me outside of my zone or whatever temporarily. And I remember when I moved, I had to go shopping to like get stuff for the house and everything like that. And I remember going to Home Goods, and there was a man there with his puppies. Puppy or puppies? Wait, did the man have the puppies or did I have a puppy? I thought it was just gonna be a quick little, oh, the dog is so cute, pat, 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 like moving on, right? But this man gonna stand there and start a whole conversation with me, and I was just like, overstimulation. It just threw me off, and I was like, is this what I'm gonna have to experience every time I go shopping? Now I'm used to that. I'll even initiate it. If somebody's driving past me and I give them a little wave or whatever, and they don't wave back, that is a problem for me. I'm like, do you know the growth that had to ensue in order for me to even go out of my way to wave at you? You should be grateful. I'm only joking. I get it. Like, again, having been that person in the past, or sometimes people just don't even see you. Either way, it's not that big a deal. All this to say, I'm nicer now. I'm heading into work. My department has their grand rounds today, which means free food. Because, yeah, grand rounds, people do not play about their food. Because you just got to hope that they ordered enough for everybody. It's like a sweet spot. You have to get there between 10 and 15 minutes before it starts. If you are any later than that, go to the caf and go get your own food. It's gonna be gone. Work today will mostly consist of being a senior resident. I can't even believe that. Wow, God is so good, yo. I remember over there trying to hustle for this. It took me a few years to finally get into residency. And I do not take that for granted at all. But yeah, I'm a senior now. I'm finishing the last year of my core curriculum. Hallelujah. We have graduated responsibilities. So a supervisory role. I mean, you still have to tend to clinical duties, obviously. But yeah, you do a little more supervising. Then there's grand rounds. And after that, I have a meeting with my research mentor. And then back home to do some more studying. Wow. I'm here now. See y'all later. finally, finally finished my hair. It's just barely worth it. Barely. Honestly, every time I do these mini twists, I always am like, yo, I'm never doing this small size again. Like, I try to do the parts a little smaller because overall it just looks better. Like that, I cannot deny. It just takes way too long to twist and retwist. But when I tried to make the parts bigger, I just didn't like the way it looked. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it really did not hit. Yeah, I love the results, of course. I better have shit for all this work I put in there. I'm just glad I don't have to worry about my hair for another month. Man, there was a time when there was coffee coursing through my veins. I used to drink coffee every single day at a certain point in time. And the thing is, when I was younger, I worked at a coffee shop. And even then, I was never a regular coffee drinker. But it was med school that did it. Med school was the one that did it for me. And everybody would be like, oh, let's just go to the coffee shop. Let's go to the coffee shop. And I'm like, do y'all not drink anything else? So anyway, we would go to the coffee shop and your girl did, I wanted to try certain things or like, because I had worked at one before, I was like, oh, I remember having trying this particular drink. It will be nostalgic, blah, blah, blah. And then next thing you know, the habit was formed. I finally stopped drinking a lot of coffee. I only have it every once in a while. Once a while. Oh my goodness, I had toothpaste on my lip this whole time. Why were y'all fighting? Why were you fighting? You are sisters. You don't want to be in the camera? Hi. Say hi, mama. You don't want to be in the camera? Okay, my bad. Y'all don't have kids. It's Bible time. Let me tell you how a lot of my colleagues are in the hospital right now. Somebody just texted me this morning asking me about these patients that they working on and stuff. And I'm like, from someone from a different specialty. And I'm like, you at work, boo? Like, I don't work weekends.
Your call has been forwarded to voice.
The nerve. Cello.
You answer the phone like that.
You don't like it?
No.
By the way, Shala, I'm vlogging.
You're blogging or vlogging?
Vlogging.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm a vlogger now.
Please leave your message for 2.
The nerve. What's up?
Hold on, okay?
Mhm.
It looks like you called. When you called, I was on the line when you called. I think before called, yours dropped before came in. I told her I'll call her back, and then I called you. She called again.
You know what's so funny about that?
What?
I was calling Shala at the same time that you were calling me. So I didn't get your call, but I got your voicemail. And then Shala didn't answer the phone. So as soon as I started calling you, she called me back. So my call to you didn't go through. So then I answered her call, talked to her for a little bit, and then I hung up and called you. But then that at that time, I guess somebody else was calling you.
Oh, okay.
That's funny. Hey, I would not want much. Oh, oh, I see. Yeah, maybe yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Bibi abe yeah.
You go, girl. You go, girl. Not your problem, Fatin.
My sendo picture.
Pictures of me.
You have reached a number that has been disconnected.
There were only 2 places that I cared to eat at today. They are both closed. I might have to compensate with dessert. Let me tell you how I've been craving some good African food. I have been craving some good African food. So I went to an African restaurant and got me something. I got fufu and egusi soup. You know, I'm Ghanaian, and so I'm used to Ghanaian cuisine. But I rarely get Nigerian food. But I was feeling adventurous today, bruh. I wanted to set up the camera and show you guys the food before I ate it, but I couldn't. I couldn't wait that long. Man, I was so hungry. Hold on. I'm trying so hard not to eat all the meat so that when I finish this tomorrow, I can have meat to eat with it, but it's so hard. You know how sometimes you eat so well that afterwards you just gotta sit and think about life. Oh my goodness. I need a nappy nap. Well, I'm still studying, so I won't be leaving the house again. I won't be doing anything else for the rest of the night. This is the life I chose. So, why did I open my Instagram after having that food and somebody sent me a video of somebody saying, "You are not a dog. Stop rewarding yourself with food." And will not. Because one thing I'm going to do is eat. Okay? I'm always going to be a foodie. Looking forward to the next one.
This girl is supposed to be studying right now. Ask me to study with her. I'm on the phone and I turn over and you're just randomly laughing. I'm like, who the hell are you talking to?
Wait a minute. You asked me to study with you.
Did I?
Yes.